If the guy wanted to get fast at this, he'd have an electric or an air wrench.
We have them,
but I mean, just
we don't have to get in there very often. But when you do, you can get to it.
So that water cooling connection is going all the way through the rotor,
coming back, and it's coming back, and then it's going through the movable anvil. So you're cooling the anvil and the rotor. I'll show you when we open up.
Okay. What's that rotor diameter, like 20 inches?
15.
Oh, 15, okay.
We make it 20, and Veco
George, are you loose on your side?
20, but hell,
yeah.
You don't need it?
15 works just fine.
You might want to film this.
What?
You might want to film this?
Yes.
That's one of the things that sold me on it is you get to it and maintain it.
Stand up.
Yeah.
The big difference in climbing in there.
Holy mackerel. That's fast. That's really all the room you need. How far back can you go?
36 inches.
There's an important part that you have to get to.
Was there a limit switch there?
There is. There's just a mechanical limit.
To get somebody the size of Dick or Jason here, they have to get down in there and sit cross-legged. You're not going to get very tight tolerances set on the.
That's pretty wide open there.
You can see the cooling in there.
I know. Trying to save the pants.
I
I saw that out there. I was impressed.
I'm just going to get on top here.
Put your hand on.
It's not hot.
No.
The other big advantage that we do is we use hex-headed bolts instead of cap-headed sockets.
Yeah.
Because you spend the first 2 hours of picking calcium carbonate and plastic out of the Allen head bolt.
Yep.
Here, all you gotta do is, and the best part about this whole thing is, if you've ever been inside of a Veco planer or a Wyman machine,
You're not going to be inside of one.
It takes 2 people to turn it. If I had another wrench, which I don't happen to have, you take these 3 bolts out and you flip this guy up, and with one finger, my index finger, I can sit here and rotate the clutch. And when I rotate the clutch, I'm turning the rotor, and I can sit here and work. And if you're trying to do it fast, you bring 2 guys in and do it, and we sit here and boom, 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 and we can take these guys. And the nice part about it is you know, what we talked about earlier of rotating. You want to, you know, switch here to here.
Doug,
Yeah.
one thing I'm noticing that I didn't expect to see this, but
Yeah.
that anvil and the tolerance through there is very tight.
Very, very tight.
But I also am noticing the anvil is at a radius up off of that horizontal surface of the floor.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because one thing is this floor comes in to here, and that's one of the secrets of making this thing work is the little upward ramp helps to, the upward ramp helps us to be able to allow the material to get pushed up. Yeah.
So it's taking a little ride up and then straight through and down.
Correct.
So is it relieving the pinch point in a way, or
Kind of leaving a way.
relieving the
wedge.
the pinch point?
And that's very precise, and we've experimented with a lot of different angles. And that's from a lot of trial and error.
And the reason I've seen some on wood, you know, that are flat, just flat. But
Yeah, wood doesn't take a whole lot.
no.
Did I take out?
Well, that's a beefy anvil.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
The
6,
whole
7,
anvil
8.
adjusts. The whole bed knife block adjusts to
You've
the
got a
rotor.
dozen of those things.
So you're not adjusting the bed knives like you normally would in a grinder.
Oh, I see that on the
You're
back side.
adjusting the entire anvil.
Okay.
So we can keep a granulator tight tolerance of 6 to 9 thousandths.
Mike, you talked about how far does it open. It opens far enough so that this guard flips up, And now, watch your fingers, guys, because I have enough power here. Now I can rotate with one finger. I can rotate my rotor.
Saves one man.
Keep doing that, just a little bit. That's fabulous. Great.
If I want to adjust my gap, what I do is I loosen the 11 bolts on the bottom side here.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that today, but there's 11 bolts here on the bottom, and all I do is loosen them, and then I have an adjustment mechanism here. I have one bolt that I can use to push with and one used to pull with, and so what I will do is I will back this bolt off, and I'll put a feeler gauge in if I want to go forward 10 thousandths, and I'll put the 10 thousandths gap in there, and then I'll crank on my forward bolt, move this side forward 10 thousandths, that side forward 10 thousandths, and then I can sit here and rotate the rotor all the way through to make sure that my clearance is right. And the most important part is it's this cutter and that cutter, and when you get those two right, you got the rest of it right, because there's always more wear in the center than there is in the back. These tool holders, as you can see, have some wear to them. All right, there's 1,200,000 pounds that we've run through here, and you know, I would guess that these guys probably have another 1,000,000 to 2,000,000 pounds left, because the wear here in the center has really stopped. Once it got to that kind of point, we do replace hardware every time we sharpen.
Just like in granulator.
We replace hardware.
We do the same thing.
Okay. One man, 63 cutters. I've clocked myself doing this. My best time is under 50 minutes. That says under a minute a cutter. I'm going to tell you, you got to be good at it. You got to have the right tools here. You got to have the right equipment. But you can sit here and take those cutters off. I tell customers, plan on 60 to 90 seconds per cutter.
You know, that's the same amount of time it takes us to take the hammers out of the liberator.
Okay.
About an hour.
And that's why we went to, these are non-keyed, and it takes a lot more time, because you got to sit here and work with it and pound them back and forth a little bit when they're not keyed. And that's why it's so important to have the keyed cutter, and that's why it's so important to also take which column that you're taking out of, which one of 121, so that you can take this guy and put here, this guy put here, this guy put here, this guy put here, and you swap those guys out, so that when you sharpen it so that your outside cutters are perfectly clean, but your center cutters are probably going to have another a little bit of roundness left in the corners.
What was your RPM that you're returning?
We're about 110, 115.
Okay.
And the cool part about this, the rotor and the cutter is there is almost no downtime for ram return stroke, because it's always cutting.
Yes.
It's always feeding.
I noticed that was, it made its initial pull, and then it's kind of stayed there.
Forward and backwards, and it will work very diligently. You know, the entire time that we were running until Dick stopped, we never made a return stroke.
Yep.
And that's why...
It was only, what, 6 inches away or something like that?
No, we were a lot further away than that.
About a foot?
You know, the cool part about it is when he would drop a piece of carpet in on top of the rotor, it would back the ram off even further, because it was amping, and then it would allow itself to reload, but not have to come to full stroke.